Mr. President, I also rise to speak briefly about the news this week that the President is terminating the executive action protecting DACA recipients, dreamers as we know them, but also putting the burden on the shoulders of this body, the Article I branch, to find an appropriate solution. The President often said, as a candidate and even in his early days as President, that he understood some things about these youngsters. He called them incredible kids, and he also said that they would be fine. He did not use that language often in talking about immigrants, and so those were positive phrases that led many to hope that he would continue the DACA program. Many in his administration wanted him to, others in this body, the Speaker, wanted him to continue the program, but he announced he was terminating it in 6 months and asked Congress to step up. I wanted to just tell you, Mr. President, about a couple of youngsters that I was with last week. I had a roundtable on DACA at Northern Virginia Community College, which is one of the largest and most diverse community colleges in the United States. And I had this last week, and I had 8 students, and they were a fascinating mixture of young men and women. And I just wanted to come and share some things about their stories because it demonstrates how these young people, these dreamers, are a source of strength for our country and that we need to accommodate them. Renata was one of my youngsters. She came to Virginia when she was 3 years old with her parents, her older brother and sister. She graduated high school with an advanced diploma. Some of us know the International Baccalaureate Diploma, which is very rigorous. And now with DACA, she's studying at George Mason University, pursuing getting a degree in clinical psychology. She does brain injury research, and she wants to do that research to hopefully help people like returning veterans who suffer from brain injuries. Giancarla is a DACA recipient from Virginia. She came here a decade ago to be reunited with her parents, hadn't seen her parents in 7 years. She received DACA in 2012 and then went to Radford University, graduated with a bachelor's degree in international economics. Giancarla described that she's so appreciative about where DACA has gotten her in life, but she told me that the night before we met, she'd had a conversation with her sister. Her sister was in high school and was calling her big sister to describe how scared she was about what would happen if DACA was taken away. She talked about her little sister as a hardworking and studious kid, and she's worried that she won't be able to go to college anymore and may be separated from family. Min is a young man who's a Korean American, born in Korea, and is a DACA recipient who is at George Mason. He's studying cyber. He talked about his desire to serve the United States and help us with cyber expertise, but how the removal of DACA could hurt his studies and could hurt his ability to get security clearances to be able to offer his talents to the country. And Gloria, just the 5th of these examples, there were 8 students there, is an interesting young lady from Nigeria, born in England to Nigerian parents, brought here as a youngster, and she'll be the first DACA recipient in Virginia to graduate from law school. She's at William and Mary Law School, wants to graduate in December and help new Americans with immigration issues. We talked about all kinds of concerns they have: deportation of themselves or family members, ability to get a driver's license, the ability to lawfully work and pay taxes, and all of these young people work and pay taxes right now. The ability to get in-state tuition, which for many is the difference between being able to get a higher education and not. And we talked about all of it, but we also talked about their love for this country and the fact that for these young students, this country is all they know. Deportation back to a place that they don't really know is not really an option. I was also happy to have at this roundtable because we talked about there's no such thing as a DACA recipient without a DACA ally, parents, teachers, family members, attorneys. They have support group, and it's really important to acknowledge them too. We had officials from George Mason University, a public comprehensive university in Virginia, Northern Virginia Community College, one of our community colleges, Marymount College, a Catholic university in Northern Virginia, and all of these allies, as well as representatives from other groups. The former publisher of the Washington Post, Don Graham, came. He is funding, with others, a scholarship program to help dreamers cover cost gaps if they have to pay out-of-state tuition. And this is working to help hundreds of dreamers across the country. We talked to them and expressed our thanks to them for what they're doing. I've also read stories this week, and I'll just say this and conclude, about other students. Juan is a 2017 graduate of Virginia Tech and now makes Blacksburg his home. He came to Virginia at age 5, and he said this: "It's really hard for me to think of myself as anything but a Virginian and an American. It would be really hard to have that part of my identity detached from me." That's how he views the reversal on DACA. And then Guadalupe, who is from the Shenandoah Valley, one of Virginia's very rural areas, but that has a significant number of DACA recipients, just started her freshman year at Bridgewater College, a small private college in the valley. And she says, "This is the only country I've ever known. I've pledged my allegiance to the Stars and Stripes every day." This is the country to which these young people pledge their allegiance, owe their allegiance, want to express and act to demonstrate their allegiance. They're doing it already. They're making us proud, and we need to step up. It was my great pleasure in June of 2013 to join with my colleague from New Mexico, my colleague from Vermont, and nearly 70 others on the floor to do a comprehensive immigration reform that included many things, but included a protection for these dreamers. It was part of the education of a naive young senator. That was in my first year, to think, great, we did something in the Senate. I'm sure the House will do something. 4 years later, not only did they not ever take up our bill, even in committee, they didn't even pass anything by way of comprehensive immigration reform that we could put in a conference together. But now the weight of this is on our shoulders. With 6 months, talented students like these, 800,000 nationwide, between 12 and 13,000 in Virginia, have that fear, that anxiety. Are we going to be forced back into the shadows, or worse, are we or our family members possibly going to be deported? I'll just close and say these youngsters, again, they've pledged their allegiance to the United States, and they're demonstrating every day that we are richer as a nation because of them. Why would we not want to have these talented young people pledge allegiance to us rather than be elsewhere? America has always succeeded because we've been a great magnet for talent, growing our own talent and celebrating it, but also being willing to attract talent from around the world. And the society that attracts talent in the 21st century is going to be the society that succeeds. The most precious resource in life right now is not oil, it's not water, it's talent. And these dreamers have it, and we should want it. And I hope my colleagues will work together in a bipartisan way, both houses, to provide a protection. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor, and notice other of my colleagues here who are waiting to speak on the same topic.